Well, in this video, we are going to discuss the GQ signaling pathway, the phospholipase C signaling pathway. So, how this pathway works? Basically, there is G protein coupled receptor here lying in the cell membrane. What happens? Molecule comes, a hormone or neurotransmitter or whatever the ligand is, it comes and binds to the receptor here, and when it binds to receptor here, inside GQ protein gets activated. So what happens here, you can see GQ protein has three subunits: alpha subunit, beta subunit and gamma subunit. When G protein is activated, the alpha subunit, which is bound to GDP, it releases its GTP. When it releases GDP, it binds GTP. You can see in the next step here that this was the ligand, it bound to receptor, and the alpha subunit got activated. It left the beta gamma subunit there and it bound with the GTP and move on. So what happened here? The receptor bound with ligand, and alpha subunit left GDP, bound to GTP and moved on and interacted with phospholipase C. And alpha subunit in collaboration with GTP activates the phospholipase C. And what this phospholipase C does, it cleaves the phosphatidyl inositol bisphosphate present in the cell membrane. So when phosphatidyl inositol bisphosphate is cleaved, it is converted into diacylglycerol and inositol triphosphate or IP3. So what happens here? IP3 or inositol triphosphate moves to the endoplasmic reticulum and activates the IP3 mediated calcium channels. And these calcium channels open and calcium is released from endoplasmic reticulum into the cytoplasm or cytosol. So what happened here overall? Ligand came and this ligand bound to the receptor, and when it bound to receptor, GK protein got activated, its alpha subunit released GTP and bound to GTP. Then this alpha subunit moved and activated phospholipase C, and this phospholipase C cleaved the phosphatidyl inositol bisphosphate in the cell membrane and released diacylglycerol and inositol triphosphate. So what happened? This inositol triphosphate moved to the endoplasmic reticulum and activated the IP3 mediated calcium channels, and calcium is released from the endoplasmic reticulum into cytosol. And what happens next? This calcium in association with diacylglycerol, both diacylglycerol and this calcium both move to protein kinase C and they activate protein kinase C. So what happens next? Protein kinase C is activated, and this protein kinase C causes the phosphorylation of different enzymes and proteins present in the cytosol, and cell response occurs. You can comprehend this by this diagram as well. This is a signaling molecule which came and bound to G protein coupled receptor, and then G proteins alpha subunit bound to GTP and activated phospholipase C. This phospholipase C cleaved phosphatidyl inositol bisphosphate into the diacylglycerol and inositol triphosphate. This inositol triphosphate is basically a secondary messenger which moved and activated the inositol triphosphate gated calcium channels, and calcium is released from endoplasmic reticulum into the cytoplasm. So this calcium actually produces several responses and also activates protein kinase C. It also activates protein kinase C, which causes phosphorylation of different cellular enzyme and proteins and activates them. You can comprehend all this here in this diagram also. This was a signaling molecule, and this is linked to GQ protein, and alpha subunit of GQ protein is activating phospholipase C, and this phospholipase C cleaves the phosphatidyl inositol bisphosphate into diacylglycerol and inositol triphosphate, and inositol triphosphate causes the release of calcium, and this calcium and diacylglycerol both activate protein kinase C, and this protein kinase C causes phosphorylation of different cellular proteins, and cell response occurs in response to these signaling mechanisms. So following are the hormones. These are the hormones which produce their effects by GQ signaling pathway or phospholipase signaling pathway. It includes angiotensin 2, effects of angiotensin 2 on vascular smooth muscle are mediated through this pathway. catecholamines, alpha receptors, gonadotropin releasing hormone, growth hormone releasing hormone, parathyroid hormone, oxytocin, thyrotropin releasing hormone, vasopressin. These are the hormones which produce their effect through phospholipase C pathway. So it was all about today's video. Thank you.